You build courage by doing the thing that scares you, not by waiting to feel ready. Welcome back to the Secure Husband Podcast. Bruce Abbott, certified professional coach and founder of SecureHusband.com, where I help good men stop reacting from fear and start showing up with grounded leadership and clarity. Now, in previous podcasts, I've talked about courage and how healing takes courage. And a lot of you messaged me afterwards saying, I've been avoiding this work for years. I've finally seeing how my fear is running the show, and I want to heal, but I just don't feel ready. And that's what I want to talk about today, feeling ready. Because a lot of men think they need to feel courageous first before they can take action. And the reality is, it's just the opposite. You may think I'll heal when the fear goes away, or think that I'll speak my truth when I can handle the anxiety inside. Or I think that, I'll set a boundary when I'm feeling calm and confident. But that's not how it works. And if you go back and listen to the podcasts on courage that I did, you heard me say that courage is built by doing the thing that scares you, not by waiting for the fear to disappear. Because it's wild how the brain uses fear to keep you stuck. And we have to figure out this balance between emotional safety and avoidance. But the reality is you have to take action towards healing, even if it scares the hell out of you. Because if we're being honest, you're never going to feel ready to set a boundary with your wife, or admit how much the rejection hurts, or ask for what you really need, or tell the truth about your loneliness, or speak up instead of shutting down. You're waiting for the fear to go away first. Remember, fear, it's not a warning. It's a signal that you're really close to touching a wound. And again, going back to that earlier podcast, remember your nervous system has one job, keep you safe, period. Your nervous system isn't thinking rationally of what would be the best thing to do in this decision. It just reacts physiologically. So that's why you get flooded. That's why you shut down. You stay quiet to avoid rejection, or you stay small to avoid judgment. Your nervous system takes control. Stay nice to avoid abandonment. Stay passive to avoid conflict. Be safe. So when you think, I'm just not ready yet, well, that's fear pretending to protect you. And it may be keeping you, quote unquote, safe, but it's also keeping you from healing. Because you don't need to feel confident to take action. You need to take aligned action from love, not from fear. And that will build confidence. Again, go back and check out the earlier podcast on courage. There's a lot there, and there's that great book that I talked about, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway, from Dr. Susan Jeffers. Fantastic book that talks about this more into great detail, about taking action first. But you have to notice it. That's always our Secure Husband process, is where we notice things first. We ask ourselves, where am I shrinking back when I want to speak up? Where do I avoid tough conversations to prevent conflict? Those are questions that you'll ask yourself to notice it first, to bring awareness to it, bring curiosity to it, bring this intention to learn about it, so that you see how you show up in ways that may look peaceful, but really it's fear. And it shows up in lots of ways. Maybe you say, this isn't a big deal, when it really is. Or you keep the peace by silencing your truth. Avoid initiating intimacy out of fear of rejection. Maybe you go along with her decisions because you're scared to lead. These aren't harmless habits. They're self-betrayal. They're betrayals of your inner truth. You're abandoning yourself. And every time you let fear make the choice, you reinforce the belief that I can't handle discomfort. I have to hide to stay safe, or blow up to defend. But you have to take action. And now we notice and name what that feeling is, because this is going to give us a chance to choose eventually to take action. So when we notice it, now we can notice where our action is going to come from. Notice I didn't say we weren't afraid. We may be scared to death inside still at this point. But once you've named the fear, you ask yourself, am I going to act from fear or act from love? Because if I act from fear, I repeat the same behaviors and patterns that I always have. But if I act from love for myself, not in a narcissistic, selfish kind of way, self-compassion, love for your truth, love for the man you're becoming. Love doesn't always mean you feel good. Love means you act in alignment with what is true, even if you're terrified. But the key word here is act. Act in alignment. So if fear in your marriage says, don't tell her that that comment she made hurt you, she'll shut down. Love says, that hurt, and I deserve to speak my truth with honesty and calm. And then later on, we'll talk about how to figure out that action and do it. So what does this look like in your marriage? Okay, say fear is driving you withdrawing from affection from your wife. Don't ask for affection. She's going to reject you again. That's going to hurt. Okay? Now you choose a different approach. You choose a more courageous approach. Love says, I'm worthy of connection. See, that's not operating from false core beliefs. I'm worthy of connection, and I'm not ashamed of needing it. That's a first step towards the courage. See, and you'll act from that, even if you're terrified to do it. Let's say you and your wife, you need to have a very difficult conversation, and you keep avoiding it because whenever you think about it, you feel like a pit of your stomach or like tightness in your chest. Okay? Love, courageous love, says this needs to be addressed. It deserves to be addressed, and I can handle the discomfort. I will have the conversation. You don't wait to feel confident. You choose who you want to be and then act from that place. And it's just like anything else. The more you do it, the stronger that version of you becomes because you're now practicing acting with courage. And that earns trust with that little boy inside of you. Remember, he doesn't trust you. That little boy inside of you is where real fear lives. It's not in your wife's rejection or in her silence or her coldness. But fear lives in those wounds, that part of you that learned that, hey, I don't matter unless I perform. I'm not lovable when I'm messy. If I speak up, I'll get shut down, or I need to be perfect, or I'll be left or abandoned. Because when you avoid action, when you say, I'm not ready, it's not the adult you that's afraid. It's that little boy inside. He's bracing for impact. He's bracing for a response, a rejection that's going to overwhelm him in one way or another. But again, this is always at the core of healing. That little boy needs you, the man you are now, to show up for him. To say, I see how scared you are. You're not alone anymore. You don't have to earn love. You're already enough. I'll protect you. I'll speak for you. I won't abandon you again. I will take action because that is caring and loving towards you. And that's acting from love, even when you're scared. Because here you're teaching that boy, we're safe now. We're strong enough to face this. That's how you rewire your nervous system, not by waiting for fear to leave, but by walking right through it with compassion and courage. And that's how you take aligned action, small, brave steps, actions that rebuild that inner trust. It's not going to be these huge decisions. It's going to be these micro moments, small, consistent, brave moments where you don't have to comfort every wound all in one conversation. You just take one step at a time, one aligned action at a time. So maybe in your marriage, you take a deep breath instead of exploding in rage or trying to defend and explain. Maybe you initiate an honest talk instead of avoiding issues, or speak up. Say, babe, that hurt, instead of just going numb and withdrawing. It's a small act of courage, but it tells your body, we can handle this. We're not powerless anymore. And over time, you'll build trust with yourself. You stop waiting for the perfect conditions. And then you start creating safety by choosing honesty. That's the shift. You're no longer just reacting to fear. You're living from truth. And when you're trying to determine what that action might be, that's where you go in and have that dialogue with your inner boy. What do you need from me? And you listen. He'll tell you. That's your core. That's your subconscious. That's your gut. That's your feelings. That's your true self down deep in there, not the act or the performance or the protected self. Your inner boy is going to tell you what you need in this moment. Authentic needs that bring peace. He'll let you know. And then that's where you have that dialogue with your higher power, whatever your belief system is. If it's God, the universe, spirit, your source of unconditional love, unconditional truth, inherent worth, where you can have that conversation. And you say, God, these are the beliefs that I think. Are these true? And he says, no. Am I worthy of this? Absolutely, you are worthy. God, what is my next loving action? What do I do next that helps protect my peace? And pray for wisdom and strength and courage to carry out that action. And then you own that decision. You own that decision to heal for you, not for her. Guys I talk to in our coaching sessions, sometimes they're like, okay, I'm going to heal. I'm healing. I'm growing. I'm going to be brave. Hopefully that'll win her back. I've talked about this over and over in these podcasts. That mindset's going to keep you trapped forever because every action becomes a performance tied to a specific outcome, and you're not free. You don't know what the outcomes are going to be from the actions. The courage and the peace comes from you taking the action. What the outcome is, the outcome is. That's true healing. not trying to earn her affection through growth or doing the right thing. Remember, it's not about changing her. It's about becoming the man you respect, no matter how she responds. So then you choose to heal. And you choose to heal because you're tired of reacting. You're tired of living afraid. You're tired of hiding. You're ready to become emotionally honest, grounded, and free, and not walk on eggshells anymore. That's where the courage is built by your actions that you take, because that becomes your why. And then you take the actions. You stop chasing. You stop living with your worth on the line and being fragile. And ironically, that's often when your wife really starts to notice that something's different, because you're no longer making her the reason for your courage. You've reclaimed it for yourself. And courage is attractive. Courage is magnetic. But you have to act first. When you act first, aligned action, aligned with truth, not reacting, but grounded, calm, guided by peace, your response helps you embody and be the man who walks through fear with love. You don't conquer fear by avoiding it or thinking about it or getting ready for it. You conquer fear by walking right through it with love for yourself, for others. You're not pretending that you don't feel scared. You're not waiting for perfect confidence. You're just saying, I'm not letting fear make my decisions anymore. You go through the steps, you talk with that inner boy, you talk to your divine guidance, you find out what that courageous action is that you need to take, and then you take that action. And that becomes your identity. That's when you start speaking calmly, even if you're scared to death inside, or you're asking for what you need, and you're doing it without shame. You can hold space for your wife's emotions without collapsing. You're parenting the wounded boy inside of you so that she doesn't have to. She can't be your therapist. Now you get to stand in truth through action, loving action, aligned action, even when it's uncomfortable. And you stop reacting from your past and you start responding from your power. That's emotional leadership. That's courage. That's what makes you secure. It's not the absence of fear. It's acting in the face of fear. But you got to move forward. You don't become courageous by waiting for the fear to leave. You become courageous by walking right through it, again and again, doing what scares you until it loses that grip on you. That's healing. That's not fixing your wife or controlling outcomes or trying to get it right. You're just showing up through your actions with love, truth, and strength, even when it's hard, even when your nervous system is going berserk inside. That's the man your marriage needs. That's the man your life needs. That's who you want to be. That's a secure husband. Hey, I hope this podcast has been helpful for you. The listener numbers are going through the roof. Thank you so much. If you have not given a review and you're a regular listener, please do so. Hit that subscribe button. Share this episode with someone who you think may need to hear this. And if you need help getting unstuck, visit securehusband.com and set up a free 30-minute consultation with me. And I'll see you again on the next Secure Husband podcast. Thanks for listening.